Tall, taller, tallest. Page 49.
We are growing taller. In the last 200 years, growth has been dramatic. In 1760, Norwegian soldiers averaged 5'3". American soldiers drafted in World War I averaged 5 feet tall and 140 pounds. Today, the average Californian male is 5 feet 10.5 inches and weighs 188 pounds. In the Netherlands, home to the tallest population in the world, the average height of men is nearly 6 feet 1 inch. The difference between men and women may disappear someday. Thousands of years ago, men were 30% taller than women. Today, height differences average 7%.
Cloning, page 51.
Nicole has 2 cats and treasures them both. But she'd never want to double the pleasure with either one of them. I'm not one for cloning. I'm not for it at all, the 23-year-old said when asked her opinion about a researcher cloning a cat. It will lead to human cloning, and that is wrong. It's one more step. Sheep, and now this, she said, in answer to a reporter's question. She said that cloning was wrong, even if it meant getting duplicates for Picky and Tornado, her 2 cats. I love them to death, but I wouldn't clone them. Jim, a 33-year-old man, said, "Leave life alone. Cats shouldn't be cloned. Nobody should be cloned. They're spending way too much money when they could be spending it on research for something useful. Find a cure for AIDS or cancer." Jim has a fox terrier named Max. I love Max. He's 12 years old, and I don't know what I would do if he died today. But when his time is up, it's up. Unfortunately, that's life. Older Learners, page 53.
For Chi Hing, nothing was more important than education. That's why, at age 68, she decided to go back to school to get her high school diploma. After a year and a half, Chi Hing put on a cap and gown and received a Boston Public School diploma in a ceremony on the eve of the Chinese New Year. "It had always been my dream to go back to school," said Chi Hing. "No matter what age you are, you can learn. It is never too late." Chi Hing moved to Boston from China in 1975. While she had been a teacher in China and Okinawa, she did not speak English, nor did she have the credentials to teach in the U.S. So she went to work in a daycare center and concentrated on taking care of her family. She also took adult education classes and English classes. When a broken hip forced her to retire, she saw an opportunity. She had plenty of free time and her children were grown. But she worried that she was too old to go back to school. She met a college professor who encouraged her to finish her education. He could speak 9 languages, Chi Hing recalled. I told him I wanted to learn, but I was too old. He encouraged me. He told me I could do it. And I did.
Food as a second language. Page 55.
Banana bread.
Ingredients.
2 ripe bananas, mashed. 2 eggs. 3/4 cup of flour. 1/2 cup oil or melted margarine. 1 teaspoon of baking soda and 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. 3/4 cup of sugar. 3 tablespoons of skim milk. 2/3 cup of walnuts chopped. 2/3 cup of coconut flakes or chocolate chips.
Directions.
Put the bananas in a bowl with the eggs, baking soda, and baking powder. Stir and add all other ingredients. Put in an 8 by 8 inch pan and bake at 350 degrees for 60 minutes.
Hanging out to dry. Page 57.
1. Clotheslines are one way to fight climate change using sun and wind instead of electricity.
2. It indicates poverty if you put out your wash.
3. People have nice views from their windows that they'd like to keep.
4. Using a clothes dryer is a waste of energy.
5. I think sheets dangling in the wind are beautiful if they're helping the environment.
6. These rules are why, when I look out my window, I now see birds, trees, and flowers, not laundry.
7. Clothes dryers account for 6% of the total electricity consumed by U.S. households.
8. Giving up dryers saves money, helps clothes last longer and smell better, conserves energy, and promotes physical fitness.
3 little words. Page 59.
No television until you've done your homework. No dessert until you've cleaned up your plate. No hurry because you're not going. No way. No dishes, no movie. No time for your mother? No more arguing with your brother. Just when you think there are no more ways to say no, along comes don't. Don't screw up. Don't forget your sweater. Don't do as I do, do as I say. Don't forget to say thank you. Don't you hear what I'm saying? Don't make me say it again. For sheer drama, there is nothing like stop. Stop humming. Stop driving me crazy. Stop dating that creep. Stop acting like you're a big shot. Stop trying to be something you're not. Stop being so negative. They're all familiar. We couldn't have survived without them. But wouldn't it be sad if no, don't, and stop were the only things they learned from us? And those 3 little words shaped their lives? What's so funny? Page 61. Joke 1.
A person who speaks 2 languages is bilingual. A person who speaks 3 languages is trilingual. A person who speaks 4 languages is multilingual. What is a person who speaks 1 language? An American.
Joke 2.
An English teacher wrote these words on the board. Woman without her man is nothing. The teacher then asked the students to punctuate the words correctly. The men wrote, Woman without her man is nothing. The women wrote, Woman without her man is nothing.
Who would say that? Page 63.
1. It's a 2009 and in perfect condition with only 50,000 miles.
2. Do you have any spare change?
3. We expect to be taking off in 10 minutes.
4. I think that Snoopy should go on a diet.
5. Would you like to try something different this time? A perm or a frost?
6. I predict that next year you'll meet the perfect man and get married.
7. It's a home run for Reggie. Now it's tied 3-3.
8. May I see your driver's license and registration, please?
9. Open wide.
10. The fine is 10 cents a day for each one that is overdue.
Limericks and tongue twisters. Page 66.
There once was an old man from Nesser, whose knowledge grew lesser and lesser. It at last grew so small, he knew nothing at all, and now he's a college professor.
There was a young fellow named Sid, who loved to go fishing for squid. But he caught quite a giant, who was very defiant, and ate Sid all up, yes it did. Poor kid. The New World Language, page 68.
English is everywhere. Some 380 million people speak it as their first language, and perhaps another 250 million people speak it as their second language. 1 billion are learning it. By 2050, it is predicted that half of the world will be more or less proficient in it. English is the language of globalization, of international business, politics, and diplomacy. How come? Not because English is easy. Sure, genders are simple. But the verbs tend to be irregular, the grammar bizarre, and the match between spelling and pronunciation a nightmare.
All About Weather, page 70. Joke 1.
I had just moved north and was feeling apprehensive about the severity of the winters. My anxious questions about the weather brought this reply from a native. Ma'am, we have 4 seasons here: early winter, midwinter, late winter, and next winter.
Joke 2.
The Michaels family owned a small farm in Canada, just yards away from the North Dakota border. Their land had been the subject of a minor dispute between Canada and the United States for generations. Mrs. Michaels, who had just celebrated her 90th birthday, lived on the farm with her son and 3 grandchildren. One day, her son came into her room holding a letter. "I just got some news, Mom," he said. "The government has come to an agreement with the people in Washington. They've decided that our land is really part of the United States. We have the right to approve or disapprove of the agreement. What do you think?" "What do I think?" his mother said. "Jump at it. Call them right now and tell them we accept. I don't think I could stand another one of those Canadian winters." Are You Superstitious? Page 73.
A young Japanese woman named Keiko was being wheeled into operating room 4 when she noticed the number over the door. She began to cry softly. The nurse became concerned and asked what was wrong. Keiko was embarrassed, but explained that the Japanese character for the number 4 is pronounced the same as the character for the word death. Already concerned about her health, Keiko was disturbed to be wheeled into a room labeled death. Although she said it was just a silly superstition, Keiko was unable to let go of her fear. The surgery went well despite the room number, but the patient suffered needless anxiety. Had the hospital personnel mentioned to Keiko that she was being scheduled for room 4, her feelings might have become known in time to reschedule her surgery into a different room. Room number 3, for example, would have been appropriate because 3 in Japanese characters also means life. All About Ice Cream, page 76.
1. Americans consume more ice cream than any other country in the world on a per capita basis. The Australians come in second. In 1924, the average American ate 8 pints a year. By 1997, that figure had jumped to 48 pints a year.
2. Vanilla is the most popular flavor in the USA, getting anywhere from 20 to 29% of sales. Chocolate comes in a distant second, with about 9 to 10% of the market.
3. 1 out of every 5 ice cream eaters share their treat with their dog or cat.
4. One of the major ingredients in ice cream is air. Without it, the stuff would be as hard as a rock. Some types of ice cream are more than 75% air.
5. Among the most unusual flavors of ice cream ever manufactured are avocado, garlic, azuki bean, jalapeno, and dill pickle.
6. A major invention in the late 19th century was the ice cream sundae. Its odd name comes from Sunday, but no one knows why. The biggest ice cream sundae was made in Alberta, Canada in 1988 and weighed nearly 55,000 pounds.
Childhood, page 80.
An estimated 158 million children ages 5 to 14 are engaged in child labor. This is 1 in 6 children in the world. Millions of children work in dangerous situations. They work in mines, work with chemicals and pesticides in agriculture, and work with dangerous machinery. One example is a 4-year-old tied to a rug loom to keep the child from running away. Millions of very young girls work as domestic servants in households where they are exploited and abused. Of course, work prevents these children from going to school. Also, many children, some as young as 10, are child soldiers and are fighting in wars around the world. Bono, page 82.
1. Bono has been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize 3 times.
2. His name, Bono, comes from bono vox, which means good voice in Latin.
3. He has spent a lot of time, money, and energy fighting AIDS, TB, and malaria.
4. Since the 1990s, he has almost always worn sunglasses on stage because of his sensitive eyes.
5. Bono is admired not only as a singer and songwriter, but also as a very good human being.
10 Interesting Questions, page 84.
1. Which sex has an easier life in your culture, male or female?
2. If you saw someone cheating on a test, what would you do?
3. Would you ever consider taking a week-long vacation alone?
4. Have you ever taken a sick day from school or work when you weren't sick?
5. Which would you rather have, a nice teacher or a strict teacher?
6. Do you have any specific long-term goals?
7. Are you more interested in international, national, state, or local news?
8. Would you rather become extremely rich as a result of luck or hard work?
9. Would you rather play a game with someone more or less talented than you?
10. Would you like to be famous someday?
The Rise of Wives, page 86.
1. This report focused on U.S.-born men and women aged 30 to 44.
2. In nearly a third of marriages today, the wife is better educated than her husband.
3. While most men still earn more than women, wives are now the primary breadwinner in 22% of couples.
4. The shift in roles means that more men are taking on more housework responsibilities.
5. Career women today are more likely to choose men who support a more equal marital relationship.
6. Unmarried men with college degrees made income gains of 15%, but unmarried women with degrees gained 28%.
Marriage and Divorce. Partial dictation. Page 87.
1. People with a college degree tend to marry later and stay married.
2. Among married women ages 25 to 44 with a college degree, 15 out of 1,000 divorced within a year, compared with 30 out of 1,000 women with just a high school diploma.
3. People's average age at their first marriage increased to 24.9 years for women and 27.1 for men.
4. In the 1950s and 1960s, the average age for women to marry was 20, and for men, it was 24.
5. Divorce is least likely to occur among Asians and most likely to occur among African Americans.
Dictogloss.
1. About 9 out of 10 Americans are expected to marry at least once in their lifetime.
2. Half of first marriages end in divorce, but 3 in 4 will probably remarry.
3. First marriages that end in divorce typically last about 8 years.
4. The earlier people are married, the more likely they are to get divorced.
5. Among younger men, having an older wife is becoming more common.
Follow-up prediction dictation.
Dear Advisor, my parents are divorced. I live with my mother. I spend 2 weekends a month with my dad and 1 month in the summer with him. I love my dad, but he has remarried, and I don't really like his new wife, Amy. My father is really nice to me and takes me places, but Amy sort of resents me and I feel uncomfortable around her. Now that I'm 15, I would rather spend more time at home with my friends. I also want to get a part-time job this summer. Do you think my father will be hurt if I don't visit him this summer? What do you think I should do? Joey in Jamestown.
Obesity. Page 89.
1. Some say that obesity kills as many as 325,000 every year.
2. Researchers are surprised at how fast Americans are gaining weight.
3. Some health problems from obesity are heart attacks, high blood pressure, and diabetes.
4. If obese people ate 200 fewer calories a day, they would be 20 pounds lighter in a year.
5. Drugs taken for certain mental illnesses can cause huge weight gains. Television. Page 90.
1. Half of American homes have 3 or more TVs.
2. Sesame Street, a popular children's program, began in 1969.
3. Watching TV has been linked to obesity in children.
4. TV is now on buses and planes, in elevators, and in airport lobbies.
5. The average person watches an average of 4 hours and 35 minutes of TV a day.
6. Because of progress in electricity and transmitters, by the 1990s, half the world could watch television.
AIDS. Page 92.
1. AIDS is now a pandemic.
2. You can't tell by looking at someone if he or she has AIDS.
3. Worldwide, 15 to 24-year-olds account for half of all new infections.
4. People can have HIV without knowing that they have it because they don't have any symptoms.
5. About 1.1 million Americans are infected with the HIV virus, and a quarter of them do not know it. Idioms for test takers. Page 94.
1. I blew it.
2. I screwed up.
3. I aced the test.
4. I'm a basket case.
5. I'm really uptight.
6. The test was a no-brainer.
7. I hit the books last night.
8. It was a piece of cake. Make a difference. Be a volunteer. Page 96.
1. Josh Ryan, 48, of Bandera, Texas, invested $10 million from his pro basketball career to open Ryan Ranch, a home to 1,300 young adults, many of whom have been abused or abandoned.
2. Leon Goldberg, 68, of Detroit, Michigan, kept his 3,000 workers on the payroll after a fire destroyed his textile mill last year. He rebuilt the plant, and all but 400 are now back on the job.
3. Latoya Jefferson, 51, of Milltown, Florida, is a volunteer at Paula's Place, a homeless shelter for African American women. She has been there to cook for 5 hours a day for 10 years and remains friends with the women even after they leave.
4. Addie Mae Carlson, 75, of Oakdale, California, has been running low-cost summer camps for disabled children for 5 years. She accepts no salary.
5. Bob Dean, 36, of Chicago, Illinois, grew up in a poor neighborhood and knows what it's like to be on probation. One day, he showed up at the courthouse and offered to help kids in trouble. He's been volunteering for 12 years, sometimes 30 hours a week. I've seen a lot of pain, he says.
6. Lena Chin, 52, of New York City, arrived from China in 1986 and soon began volunteering several days a week in her city's Chinatown to help Asian immigrants whose inability to speak and read English makes it impossible for them to fill out the complicated forms required for health benefits.